Welcome to our channel. Today, we pause to remember a life that touched hearts and left a lasting impact. We'll explore their journey, the challenges they faced, and the moments that made them unforgettable. Join us as we honor their story, celebrate their legacy, and reflect on the memories that will continue to inspire and live on in the hearts of those who knew them. Tragic news was confirmed this week, as beloved actor Robert Carradine has passed away. The announcement brought a quiet wave of sadness across Hollywood and among fans who grew up watching his gentle, awkward charm on screen. His passing marks the end of a career that lasted more than 5 decades. Robert Carradine was born into one of Hollywood's most recognized acting families. He was the son of actor John Carradine and the brother of David and Keith Carradine. Acting was part of his world from the very beginning. Yet his path would be different. He was never the loudest star in the room. He never chased the spotlight. Instead, he built his name slowly, carefully, on his own terms. In the early years, he appeared in Western dramas and television films. He learned the craft step by step. Directors often described him as focused and thoughtful. He watched more than he spoke. He studied every scene. But it was in 1984 that his life changed forever. That year, he starred as Lewis Skolnick in the comedy Revenge of the Nerds. The film told the story of outsiders who refused to give up. Carradine's performance gave heart to the character. Lewis was smart, nervous, determined, and real. Audiences saw themselves in him. The film became a cultural moment. For many young viewers, it was the first time the underdog won. In later interviews, Carradine spoke humbly about the role. "I never thought of him as a joke," he once said. "I thought of him as someone who just wanted to belong." That quiet understanding helped shape the character into something lasting. He went on to appear in several sequels, but he never allowed one role to define him completely. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, he continued working steadily. He appeared in television dramas, family films, and popular series. A new generation came to know him through Disney's Lizzie McGuire, where he played the supportive father. Once again, he brought warmth and steadiness to the screen. Colleagues often spoke about his kindness on set. One former co-star shared this week, "Robert had a calm presence. He didn't demand attention. He gave it. He listened. And that made everyone better." Behind the camera, Carradine valued privacy. He focused on family life and simple routines. Fame never seemed to change his personality. He remained grounded, even while being part of Hollywood history. News of his passing led to tributes across social media. Fans posted clips from Revenge of the Nerds. Others shared childhood memories of watching his films with friends and siblings. One longtime fan wrote, "He made being different feel okay." That mattered more than he probably knew. Another tribute read, "Robert Carradine gave a voice to every quiet kid who ever felt overlooked." His family released a brief statement asking for privacy. They thanked fans for their love and support. They described him as a devoted father and a man who cared deeply about the people around him. For many, his legacy is tied to a single image, a shy young man standing tall despite being underestimated. But his career was much broader than one character. He worked across genres. He respected the craft. He showed up, year after year. There was no scandal. No dramatic reinvention. Just steady work and quiet commitment. In an industry often driven by noise, Robert Carradine chose consistency. He chose sincerity. His story is not one of loud triumph. It is one of endurance. Of showing that even the most unlikely hero can leave a lasting mark. As Hollywood reflects on his life, it becomes clear that his impact was not measured only in awards or box office numbers. It was measured in connection. In the way audiences saw themselves in his characters. He reminded viewers that intelligence is strength. That awkwardness can be courage. That standing together matters. Now, the cameras have stopped rolling. The sets are quiet. But the roles he brought to life continue to play on screens around the world. Generations will still laugh. Still cheer. Still see a bit of themselves in Lewis Skolnick and in the many characters that followed. Robert Carradine may have been a reluctant hero in his most famous role. In real life, he became something more lasting, a symbol of heart, humility, and quiet resilience. And that is how he will be remembered. The news moved softly through the football world this week. Michael Wagner, known to fans as Mike Wagner, has passed away. He was 71 years old. For many, his name brings back the sound of cold Sundays in Pittsburgh. The roar of the crowd. The black and gold rising in unity. He was not the loudest voice on the field. But he was always there. Mike Wagner built his legacy as a safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers during the team's most dominant era. In the 1970s, the Steelers' defense earned a nickname that still echoes in history, the Steel Curtain. Wagner stood quietly at the back of it, watching, reading, protecting. Born on April 16, 1954, Wagner grew up with discipline and focus. He played college football at Penn State under legendary coach Joe Paterno. There, he learned structure, patience, awareness. Traits that would define his professional career. When the Steelers drafted him in 1971, few could have predicted what would follow. The team was building something special. Wagner became part of that foundation. Throughout the decade, Pittsburgh captured 4 Super Bowl titles. Super Bowls 9, X, 13, and 14. Wagner played in each of them. He was steady in coverage and sharp in instinct. He recorded key interceptions during playoff battles and championship runs. He was the kind of player every defense needs, one former teammate once said. Smart. Reliable. Always in the right place. Wagner was not known for dramatic celebrations. He did his job and stepped back into position. Coaches trusted him. Quarterbacks feared testing him deep. Fans remember his calm presence. His ability to read a play before it fully formed. In a time when football was fierce and physical, Wagner's intelligence stood out. A statement released by his family described him as a devoted husband, father, and friend whose strength on the field was matched by his kindness off it. They asked for privacy while thanking fans for decades of support. Tributes quickly followed across social media. One Steelers fan wrote, "He may not have chased headlines, but he helped build a dynasty." Another shared, "The Steel Curtain was more than a defense. It was pride." And Mike Wagner was part of its heart. During the 1970s, Pittsburgh became a city of champions. Names like Mean Joe Green and Terry Bradshaw often led the stories. Yet inside locker rooms, players knew Wagner's value. He studied film carefully. He communicated quietly in the secondary. He kept the defense aligned. In playoff games, when the pressure rose and mistakes became costly, Wagner remained steady. That calm helped secure championships. After retiring from professional football, he stepped away from the spotlight. He remained connected to the game but focused on family and community. Friends described him as humble and thoughtful. He never talked about himself, a former coach once recalled. He talked about the team. That word, team, defined his career. Michael Wagner did not seek fame. He sought excellence. In doing so, he became part of one of the greatest eras in NFL history. The steel curtain remains a symbol of toughness and unity. Wagner's role within it cannot be erased. His passing marks the loss of another pillar from that golden decade. Yet his impact lives on in every highlight reel, every championship banner hanging in Pittsburgh. He helped turn a franchise into a dynasty. He helped turn teammates into legends. And for fans who watched those games under gray winter skies, his memory remains tied to victory, discipline, and pride. Michael Wagner will be remembered as a guardian of the end zone. A quiet leader in a loud sport. A champion 4 times over. The stadium lights may dim. The seasons may pass. But the steel curtain still stands in memory, and Mike Wagner will always be part of its strength. The music felt quieter this week in New York City. News was confirmed that Willie Colon had passed away. For decades, his trombone carried the sound of the streets. It carried pride. It carried struggle. And it carried joy. Born William Anthony Colon Roman in the Bronx, he grew up surrounded by rhythm. The neighborhood was alive with culture, with stories told through music. As a teenager, he picked up the trombone and never put it down. By the late 1960s, he was already shaping a movement. Working with the legendary Fania Records, Colon became one of the leading forces of the salsa explosion in New York. His early collaborations with singer Hector Lavoe created songs that felt raw and honest. They sang about barrio life, about hardship, about dreams that felt just out of reach. The music was bold. The sound was heavy with brass. It was different. He gave the streets a soundtrack, one longtime fan wrote online. You could hear New York in every note. Colon was not only a musician. He was a band leader and producer. He understood how to build a sound that felt larger than one voice. Under his direction, salsa became more than dance music. It became identity. In packed clubs and crowded ballrooms, his trombone cut through the air. Strong. Confident. Proud. During the height of the Fania era, he stood among giants. Yet he always brought something unique, a streetwise honesty mixed with musical discipline. He blended Latin rhythms with jazz influences and urban storytelling. That mix helped carry salsa into the mainstream. He changed the sound of Latin music forever, a fellow musician once said in tribute. He made it fearless. Beyond music, Colon also became a public voice. He spoke about social issues. He supported community efforts. For many in Latino neighborhoods, he represented more than fame. He represented possibility. As the years passed, his influence only grew. Younger artists sampled his work. Bands studied his arrangements. His early albums remained essential listening for anyone who wanted to understand salsa's roots. In a brief statement, his family shared, Willie was a devoted father, friend, and artist. His music was his gift to the world, and his love for his community never faded. Fans gathered in small groups across parts of the Bronx and Spanish Harlem. Some played his records from open windows. Others shared old concert photos online. One message read simply, "Gracias por el ritmo." Thank you for the rhythm. His music carried stories of working-class life. It honored culture without apology. At a time when many voices felt unheard, his songs spoke clearly. Through protest songs and romantic ballads, through fast dance numbers and slow reflections, Willie Colon built a catalog that crossed generations. He reminded listeners that culture is power. That rhythm can unite. The trombone became his signature. But it was his vision that built the movement. Today, salsa remains a global force. From New York to Puerto Rico to cities across the world, the sound continues. And within that sound, echoes of Willie Colon can still be heard. He did not just perform music. He shaped it. He did not just follow a wave. He helped create one. Willie Colon will be remembered as a pioneer of New York's Latin soul. A band leader who gave voice to the barrio. A musician whose notes carried pride and resistance. The stages may grow quiet. But somewhere, in the rhythm of a brass section warming up, his spirit still moves. And in every beat of salsa that fills a dance floor, his legacy plays on.